Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the Retro Wrestling Room. This is the series where we look back at all of the matches that Dave Meltzer has rated 5 stars or more, and then to see if we agree with our rating or not. This will be our second 5-star match review that takes place at a 6-sided ring. The second review of a match from the Mexican promotion AAA, but our first time visiting the biggest show in all of Mexican wrestling, TripleMania. This is guaranteed to be an aerial display like no other. This is Rey Fenix versus El Hijo Del Vikingo from AAA's TripleMania 30 show. As always, I am here with the deuce to my domino, Vicky through the looking glass.
Hi guys.
How are you today, Vic?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. How excited are you to see another high-flying match taking place in a 6-sided ring?
High flying match, excited. 6-sided ring, not so much. You know my thoughts on 6-sided rings.
What are your thoughts on 6-sided rings?
There's no need. I don't get it. 4-sided ring, absolutely fine.
But this has 2 more.
There's no need.
This has
and
6.
Don't get me started on the colour of the ring.
We'll get to the colour of the ring, don't worry. So, what do you expect from these 2 wrestlers? Have you seen much of them before?
I know the names, but don't really know much about them. I think they're just names I know. I've probably seen them, and when I watch them, I'll recognise them. But off the top of my head, they're just names that look familiar.
I think you've probably only seen bits of them in AJPW, probably.
Probably. So they're just names I recognise. But if you said what's their move or any matches, off the top of my head, I couldn't say anything. If you showed me a picture, I'd be like, oh yeah, they look familiar. But if you asked me to name the person in that picture, no clue.
So I've already kind of given it away that they're both high flyers. I guess you kind of knew that going in. But what will you be looking for in this match to take it to a 5-star match rating?
Good pacing and not just spots. I like a high-flying match, but I also like it to look like wrestling. I don't want it to feel too choreographed. Sometimes I think it can look too polished and then it doesn't feel real. So I kind of want a hybrid of the two.
Okay, I think that's fair. So before we take a look at our wrestling at the time segment, let's look at pop culture at the time. I'll let you, Vicky, take some guesses at them. So this match took place on the 15th of October 2022.
2022, not 2022. Who says 2022?
This guy. What do you think was the number 1 UK single?
I don't listen to charts. I literally have no clue.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm so dumb. I don't know, Drake.
It's a fair guess. It was Unholy by Sam Smith. I also put in brackets a really terrible song.
Okay, I'm glad I don't know that. Moving on. Next question.
What do you think was the number 1 film in the cinema at the time?
October last year. I'm trying to think of what horror was. Oh, was it Halloween? Oh no, that was 2018, wasn't it? Halloween Ends. What horror was that last year? Oh, Scream.
No, but that's a good guess as well.
Smile.
Yes. And as we all know, the best newspaper in the UK is the Daily Star, obviously. It's a very classy newspaper here in the UK. And on the front cover, it asked the question that the nation wanted to hear. How long can wet lettuce Liz remain?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason they started comparing our Prime Minister to a lettuce.
To see which would last longer. I think the lettuce won.
It did. So what was happening in the world of wrestling at the time? October was a very busy month this year. On October the 1st, Stardom held their Stardom 5-Star Grand Prix 2022 finals, where Julia was able to defeat their arch nemesis Tam Nakano via pinfall in a match that lasted over 25 minutes. That same weekend in London, England, New Japan Pro Wrestling held their Royal Quest 2 shows at the Crystal Palace Arena. Over the weekend, we saw Hiroshi Tanahashi and Gorillas of Destiny defeat the Bullet Club, Will Ospreay defeated Shota Umino in singles competition, Tetsuya Naito faced off against Zack Sabre Jr. in a match to determine the number 1 contender for the New Japan Pro Wrestling US title, and we also saw another 5-star match take place when FTR defeated Aussie Open to regain the IWGP Tag Team titles. The following week, AEW held the Battle of the Belts 4 show, with FTR putting on another stellar performance against Gates of Agony to hold on to their ROH World Tag Team titles, as well as Jade Cargill faced Willow Nightingale for the TBS title, and Trent Beretta squared off against Pac in the opener for the All Atlantic belt. Over in Impact Wrestling that very same night, they held their annual Bound for Glory show in Albany, New York. On the show, Mickie James beat Mia Yim via pinfall in a career-threatening match. Frankie Kazarian dethroned Mike Bailey for the X Division title. Jordynne Grace regained the women's title in a match against Masha Slamovich. And in the main event, Josh Alexander held on to the Impact Heavyweight title in a match with Eddie Edwards. On the 8th of October, WWE held their Extreme Rules show in front of over 15,000 fans in the Wells Fargo Center in Philly. On that card, Ronda Rousey won the SmackDown Women's title from Liv Morgan. Bianca Belair defeated Bayley to hold on to the Raw Women's title. Finn Balor beat Hall of Famer Edge in an I Quit match. And then in the main event, Matt Riddle beat Seth Rollins in a Fight Pit match. Then that very same night, another Extreme show, but a slightly different one, took place. GCW held a Fight Club show in Atlantic City. Leo Rush won the 6-man scramble match against Blake Christian, Gringo Loco, Jimmy Lloyd, Shane Mercer and B-Boy. Drew Parker and Rina Yamashita took on Alex Colon and Matt Taven in a tag team death match. And then in the main event of the night, Nick Gage was declared the GCW World Champion once again after pinning AEW's Jon Moxley. In all of our 5-star match reviews, we always do a history section where we look at either one of the wrestlers or the promotion itself. So in today's video, let's look back at the history of the biggest show in Mexican wrestling, TripleMania. The first TripleMania show took place on April 30th, 1993 in Mexico City, in a bullfighting arena in front of roughly 50,000 people. AAA had only been formed a year prior to the show. Antonio Pena, who was the booker for CMLL, left the company and recruited younger stars to start up a brand new promotion. Pena was tired of the old ways of CMLL and wanted to bring a bit more glitz and glamour to the Mexican wrestling scene. The main event for the show, Cien Caras faced off against Conan in a best 2 out of 3 falls retirement match. This was a long running rivalry that had started back when both were still in CMLL. The plan was for Conan to pursue an acting career and to stay away from the ring, but most like wrestlers, this decision didn't last long and he was back in the ring a mere 4 months later. From TripleMania 2 to 5, AAA held multiple shows for each event. Some of these main events included Jake the Snake Roberts taking on Conan in a best 2 out of 3 falls hair versus hair match at TripleMania 2 Part C, and the Parker, Octagon and Mascada Sagrada faced off against Killer, Cien Caras and Heavy Metal in a lumberjack match at TripleMania 4 Part B. At the time of the recording, it is now early 2024 and we are up to TripleMania 31. There have been some great rivalries held at the TripleMania shows, and here are my top 5 that any fan who is looking to get into Mexican wrestling should hunt out. Rey Mysterio Jr. vs Mystices from TripleMania 23. Western fans will be very aware of both of these wrestlers and will probably not understand why this is seen as such a huge deal at the time. Before becoming Sin Cara in WWE, Mystico was a huge draw in Mexico. We never got to see just how good he could be in the US, but luckily this dream match managed to happen when both were away from the American super brand. People may forget about this match as the rest of the show is horrific, but for a moment Rey was able to turn back the clock and Mystico was able to prove why he was regarded as the next in line. Super Calo vs Winners from TripleMania 3 Part C. The oldest match on my favourites list, but don't let that put you off. In 1995, 2 fan favourites and best friends went up against each other in a mask versus mask match. And like most mask matches, there were no underhanded tactics at play here, and both men hold on to their honour during the bout. With plenty of dives to the outside to keep the more modern fan entertained, this match is a must watch if you want to check out what can be achieved with face versus face matches. Blue Demon Jr. versus Dr. Wagner from TripleMania 27. You can't have a top list without a mask versus hair match, right? Correct. Wow, this is a brutal match. Both men get hit with every possible hard object imaginable, but not for 1 second does it seem over the top or gratuitous. It's the best of the brutal hardcore style, meeting Lucha Libre, which AAA are brilliant at achieving. The best matches are when both come out of it looking better than before. Despite losing the match and his hair, Dr. Wagner still came across as a victorious Rudo in this must-see match. LA Park vs La Parka from TripleMania 28. What happens when a wrestler builds up a gimmick, takes it over the world, and then comes back home to see that someone else has been given the very same gimmick? A great match actually. LA Park, who was the original La Parka, comes back to the promotion to prove that he is the superior fighter and absolutely pummels his newer version. Dr. Wagner Jr. versus El Messias from TripleMania 17. If you had to put everything great about Mexican wrestling in a big blender, you would have to put in bloody brawl, high-flying moves, a hot crowd, hardcore violence, and this match has plenty of everything. El Messias may not have taken off that big while he was in TNA, but here he is at his very peak. A brilliant match that builds from the opening bell and doesn't stop till the closing bell 35 minutes later. As the video starts, we get a guy come out on stage with about 4 different haircuts, and we think he's introducing Rey Fenix. But because this is all in Mexican, I wasn't quite sure for a minute.
Mexican? You mean Spanish?
I mean
Mexican. Mexican is not a language. My first note says that's a very strong look. And also with the XXX at the top, it looks like Britain's Got Talent. It looks like the buzzers.
It's because it was, TripleMania 30, so
Yeah.
they had the 3 X's. It did look like Britain's Got Talent.
Or America's Got Talent, or whatever country you're from has got talent.
As the lights go out and then come back up, Rey Fenix stands in the middle of the 6-sided ring with a mini Phoenix who has matching mask, but it's obviously at least 2 sizes too big for the little guy. What do you think of the look of the arena, which is AAA's equivalent of WWE's WrestleMania?
I think it looks really good. I like this. I like the layout. I always compare events to WWE in the early 2000s, so every setup disappoints me. I think the last setup that was good was, I can't remember the year, but WrestleMania in Orlando when they had like the roller coaster logo. That was the last one when they had a proper set, and I like a proper set. They don't tend to do it anymore. Whenever we go to an event, they don't even have a stage or an entrance.
No.
Yeah, I like a proper set. I always remember going way back. It's either 2001 or 2002, Backlash, when they had the bits on the side that like swung across the metal.
Yeah, they almost
was
look like hooks. Yeah.
I always remember that. Like, that stayed in my memory. I remember big sets and I missed that. So everything compared to like those days is kind of a letdown. But I thought it looked good. I liked the setup. It looked big.
We also have another coloured ring mat, which I know you're a huge fan of. This time we've got a nice yellow mat.
There's no need to change the colour of the mat.
You do know I'm just picking these matches to get as many different coloured rings to annoy you now.
Oh, I know. I noticed. No, I don't get it. I don't see the point. I don't see the need. It doesn't add anything. It doesn't make it special.
Next up, we have Vikingo enter the arena, and he comes through the screens which part open for him. And he is surrounded by loads of other Viking-esque characters, which is a pretty cool looking visual. But it does kind of look like a try that would appear in the fight scene in Role Models.
Yes, I didn't even pick up on that, but yes. I put that I love the big entrances. It looked epic, but yes, Role Models, 100%. I'm gutted I didn't think of that reference.
We then get the customary pictures with the belt at the start of the match, which, like I always say, makes the bout feel like a massive deal. If you thought WWE were throwing in their advertisements too heavy-handed these days, well, in this match, as we get the first lockup, we get a wide shot that shows the screens in the background advertising something called Bard Hall. All the while, the announcer is still talking over the house PA. It did start and it was absolute carnage. In the first exchange where they are getting a feel for each other, Vikingo tries some mat wrestling and rolls at Fenix in a quick pin attempt. Next, Vikingo sets up what almost looks like a type of standing surfboard move, but is able to get out and set up his own swinging submission titled Le Gutura.
I wish I spoke Spanish. Watching this, not knowing what the commentators were on about, I wish I spoke Spanish.
Yeah, me too. Fenix then gets thrown into the corner, but throws Vikingo over the top while coming back in. He can't capitalise though, and catches a boot while rushing in. Vikingo then springs off of 2 sets of ropes back into the ring and hits a Hurricane Rana on the AEW star. Vikingo then quickly hits the ropes again and lands a spinning head scissors that takes Fenix down again. They both meet in a punching exchange on the middle rope, and this time Rey Fenix pulls off a springboard Hurricane Rana which sends Vikingo back into the ring, which garners a 2 count.
Why are the commentators going on about Jeff Jarrett and Kenny Omega? Why aren't they talking about the match?
I don't know, maybe it's to do with storylines, but it is quite funny for us when we can't understand anything the announcers are saying, and then all of a sudden you just hear Jeff Jarrett.
Que consiguió su primer reinado como megacampeón en una TripleMania después de destronar a Jeff Jarrett.
Vikingo gets sent into the ropes and swings through in a Rey Mysterio 619 fashion, and they both end up in a standoff yet again. When Rey Fenix tries the same thing though, he tries to springboard back into the ring, but Vikingo has it scouted and lands a super kick. Then hits the ropes, looks to hit a spear through the ropes, but is caught, and Fenix hits a DDT onto the ring apron. Back in the ring, Rey Fenix hits 2 sliding big boots to the champion and a big clothesline to get another 2 count. Fenix pulls Vikingo off of the mat, and somehow Vikingo gets so much air that he manages to hit a code red out of nowhere, then starts to attack Rey's mask. In a move that always terrifies me, but I have no idea what to call it, so I'll do my best to describe it. Vikingo springboards off of the actual ring post onto the outside, but it's onto the outside of the middle rope and kind of hits an inside out senton onto Fenix. It truly needs to be seen to be believed.
I didn't know what it was. I put that it looked amazing, but I don't know what it is.
I don't know, he goes the wrong way.
Yeah, I couldn't work it out. I just couldn't work it out at all.
Vikingo looks to put the finishing touch on his opponent by landing a poison Rana on the outside. It's crazy to think how much wrestling has changed over the years, as a move like this in the 80s would have been an injury angle rather than just a transitional move. Vikingo gets back up on the apron and lands a shooting star press onto Fenix, who is still flat out onto the arena floor. Once Fenix has rolled back into the ring, Vikingo continues to defy physics and gravity by jumping off of the top rope, springboarding off of the middle rope and landing a 450 splash. How, I have no idea, but he lands everything so crisp at all times.
I don't know how you worked out that it was 450. I couldn't count the rotations. I literally put how many rotations was that. My eyes aren't that quick. I couldn't work it out. Also, the screens are really distracting with the adverts. I find it so odd that during the match, the screens are still showing adverts. Like, if we thought it was weird when... I can't remember what the WWE event was. Was it Money in the Bank when they had, like, the Prime Man?
We're at WrestleMania with the match between Rey Mysterio and Dominic, and it was the crispy crunch guy or something.
Cinnamon Crunch, get it right.
I'm sorry, I forgot his official title, Cinnamon Crunch Guy.
Yeah, if you thought that was bad, at least the screens were showing the match so you could watch the match. Whereas I do feel sorry for the audience. If you were sat in the nosebleeds, you ain't seeing nothing because there's no screen showing it.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
there
a
was
good
one
point.
higher up that was, but the screens down the bottom that you could see were all showing adverts.
At this point in the match, this is when I noticed that Rey Fenix had been busted wide open. The fight extends onto the rampway, and Rey Fenix gets back into the match with a cutter that flattens the champion. The angle from the cameraman makes the movement look huge and really makes the arena look massive. Vikingo is back to his feet however first, and lands a swinging side slam on the rampway, followed by another one in the middle of the ring, but can't keep Fenix down for the 3 count. Fenix still has fight in him yet though, and tries to roll up the champ, and then lands a double boot into the midsection.
I felt that.
Rey turns up the pace and gets off a Spanish fly from the second rope, but still can't keep Vikingo down. Fenix looks to go for a package pile driver, but it's reversed into a Hurricane Rana. Vikingo then goes to the outside and lands another move that blows my mind, a springboard 630 splash. This man is not human.
Again, how many rotations? I don't know how people work out how many it was. They must watch it frame by frame because I couldn't work it out.
It was extra spinny.
Very spinny.
Not just spinny.
Felt like Sonic when he's got his super fast boots on.
That is how I describe Vikingo, yeah. He then climbs the top rope and lands another 630, but Rey Fenix refuses to stay down. He keeps trying to fight back on the outside, but Vikingo stays in charge with a super kick. Vikingo takes another risk by walking across the guardrail, but he himself this time gets hit with a super kick. For some strange reason, Rey Fenix starts doing the DX suck it signal, but I have no idea why, and it seems really out of place, especially at this time in the match, but I did love it.
Yeah, I thought maybe there was a reference or something I'd missed.
I don't know. It seemed completely random, but it was great.
I like that the commentators kept just going, brutal, brutal. I understood that.
That was one word that I knew, yeah.
Brutal! Brutal! Brutal!
Fenix sets Vikingo up, dangling on the guardrail as he makes his way back into the ring, up to the top turnbuckle, and comes flying off with a diving knee strike. Fenix gets Vikingo back into the ring and lands his signature Phoenix driver as well. He slowly crawls over to make the pin, but Vikingo kicks out at the last possible second. Rey Fenix then hits another Phoenix driver, with this one looking even more devastating, but yet again, only a 2 count. He looks out into the crowd and lifts his hands up as if to say what can he do to finally put him away. They both get up onto the top rope again, and this time Vikingo goes for the venomous Rana, but Fenix somehow kind of lands on top of Vikingo, so it looks like Vikingo comes out worse. Vikingo does the right thing and sells the landing while slowly making his way to the cover, which can only gather a 2 count.
How is it still only a 2 count?
I don't know. They almost junked the shark, I think. I like the Vikingo though, because this move obviously went a bit wrong with Rey Fenix landing on top of him, but instead of just getting up as if, oh no, I need to get to the next spot, he did sell it and slowly made the pin. I thought that was good ring psychology at that point.
Yeah.
Seeing that the end is near, Vikingo turns up the pressure again, firstly hitting a super kick, followed by a vicious looking double knees in the corner, then finally hitting the 054, which is an inside out 450 splash for the 1-2-3, and regains the AAA Mega Championship in a match that will be very hard to beat for innovating high flying manoeuvres. So Vicky, what did you think of Vikingo vs Rey Fenix?
Thoughts or score?
Thoughts first.
I thought it was good. I thought it was well paced. I liked that they had the high flying bit, but it wasn't just choreographed to like absolute perfection. It didn't feel like a dance. It felt like wrestling. I wish I understood the commentary. I feel like I missed out not understanding the commentary. I felt like that did take away. I thought it was really well paced. I felt like the ads were distracting and some of the camera work was distracting. But overall the spots were good. The match was good. Not my favourite because it's not my style, but I thought overall it was good.
Was it the type of match that you expected?
Yeah. I think I went in with high expectations because I knew they were high flyers. I knew the names. And I knew it was like the biggest show, so I was expecting a lot. It's like when you know there's going to be a WrestleMania headliner and you like the two people, you go in with expectations. So yeah, I wasn't disappointed.
So what would you say your score out of 5 would be?
I've said 4 out of 5.
4? Okay. So what stopped this from getting that 5-star for you?
For me, I think if I was there maybe, or I understood the commentary, so I had more of like the atmosphere. I felt the atmosphere felt a little bit flat for me. The ads were really distracting. I kept looking at the Pringle Man. The camera work was a little bit off for me. I felt like, again, took me out of it a little bit. So just like a few little things that just took it away from being 5-star. And also the fact that it was a good match. And other than the spins, like the 630 and the 450, other than the big spins, there was nothing that stood out to me to make it memorable. Like, it was good, but there's nothing. If you ask me in a year's time, do I remember that match? I'd probably say no.
Okay. We haven't spoken about this match since we watched it, but I agree with you 100% on everything. I would also give this a 4, which is a good mark still. It's 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5. It's pretty high score. But everything you say, I 100% agree with.
That never happens.
No, not even if we come to the same score, we like both critique certain things and differently. But everything you said, I completely agree with. I think the camera cuts were sometimes infuriating. They would sometimes miss the action, and it sometimes missed like the impact of a move, because it would cut to the audience as soon as the move was about to be hit. It was really strange.
And I get if that happens when it's live, but when it's recorded, you can edit it.
Maybe it was a live feed, I guess, but obviously the lack of English commentary doesn't help, because say it's your favourite commentary team, they can help build up the match even more for you. So it's always going to be harder for us going into it. I thought the boards in the background were extremely distracting. Maybe, I know this is sacrilege to say, but if this match had WWE's production quality film in it, or even somewhere like, even a small company, like we watched the Jordan Devlin versus David Starr match, which was in an Irish promotion, but the camera work was so good that you saw everything. I think if it was filmed in a different company, it may have helped me enjoy it a little bit more. It's kind of hard to blame things that are out of the wrestler's control, but that's all we can judge it on, because that's all we see.
But that's no different to saying that if you're watching a match live and you're physically there and there is no atmosphere, that affects how you watch it.
That's
For example, when we were at AJPW All in London, it was the Young Bucks.
Okay.
And you said that's going to be a 5-star match. And I said, how can it be 5-star? The crowd is dead. The crowd was so burnt out by the beginning of that match. For me, it couldn't be 5-star, because in that crowd and that audience, and the audience felt dead, that affected my opinion of the match. It was only watching it back, like when we'd recorded it and watched it on TV, I saw how good it was. But being there, it wasn't even in like my top 3 matches of the night, because I was like, there was no atmosphere. Genuinely felt that affected by it. But watching it on TV with the commentary and actually not having that experience of being there makes a difference. But then we've said the same on previous 5-stars that we've reviewed, when Dave Meltzer was in the crowd and he's given it 5-star, and I said, would he have given it that if he watched the recording we did? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is a part of our review, and it has to be.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So we'll both shake and agree on 4 stars?
Yes, pleasure doing business with you, sir.
Why, thank you.
The title match, where Vikingo beat Rey Fenix to keep the AAA Mega Heavyweight title, delivered and then some. The title match was exactly what it should have been, making Vikingo by outshining the greatest flyer in the world at his own game. Vikingo pinned Rey Fenix to retain the AAA Mega Heavyweight title in 1929. Vikingo's father, El Vikingo, was at ringside with him. Vikingo did crazy Vikingo things. He also noted that another issue is that Dorian Roldan now believes that AAA is ahead of its time in doing live television broadcast in Spanish to the live audience. Those there said it hurt the heat of the matches. For those watching in English, you could hear Hugo Sabanovich screaming during the matches all night in the background in Spanish, so that became annoying. Even with the great last 2 matches, a lot of Americans didn't like the show at all due to the production and sound issues. Dave Meltzer should not be an editor. He should not work for a publication, and he should have somebody go through everything and make sure that what he writes makes sense.
You always have trouble reading what Dave Meltzer says, don't you?
Yeah, because it's just the grammar and the spelling and the spacing. Like, I read probably, 2 books a week?
Yeah.
I'd say on my Kindle. And I read in work.
That genuinely took you about 2 hours to read.
Yeah, why would you say Vikingo's father, El Vikingo did crazy Vikingo things? Why would you say the word Vikingo 5 times in 2 sentences?
I don't know. But anyway, I think he agreed with us. So that's it guys, that was Vikingo versus Rey Fenix. What did you guys think of this match? Would you have rated this match 5 stars? Have either of these wrestlers had better matches than this one? If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really does help us get our videos out there. So it's a bye from Vicky.
Bye guys.
And it's a bye from me. Bye. And hopefully we'll see you for our next installment soon.
So that's it guys, that was Vikingo versus Rey Fenix. What did you guys think of the match? What?
Give me that. Oh, hooligan.
Oh, I'm stealing your job.